MCU fans? Welcome back to my channel. We are back with another Loki episode review and recap. Man, this is maybe the best episode I've seen on Disney Plus of any series, and that is saying a lot. You look at, obviously, Mandalorian, WandaVision, and Falcon Winter Soldier. I'm just saying, this series I knew was going to be special. I think many people did, but it is absolutely blowing me away. So we're going to talk about this series. We're going to talk about this episode, and I'm going to throw any theories that I might have, which I think I have a few here. Before we get into it, be sure to subscribe, drop a comment, and hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. Really need help on these videos because they don't do as well as my RAM stuff. So trying to find a wide range of you out there that do like the MCU. I do go through each episode that takes place on Disney Plus as far as Marvel is concerned. So we get into it. This opens up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin at the 1985 Renaissance Fair. The C-20 TVA agent is kind of the one like we've been seeing throughout the trailer and what have you. She is the agent that gets enchanted by what we find out later in the episode is Lady Loki, the Loki variant. She gets enchanted by her. She basically kills her entire squad. Basically, that's how the whole, episode starts. And to that, what I find really interesting here, and I'm not saying that she necessarily killed them all. I mean, she may have knocked them out or whatever. Either way, she took them out. What I found interesting with this is that Holding Out for a Hero came on, and that song was kind of making fun of like the fact that she was like the hero, but I think there's more to it. I don't think that they were just playing fun with it. I think that they were kind of hinting that, Lady Loki and company might actually be the heroes in this story, and the TVA are actually bad. I mean, I don't know about you, but there's not a single ounce of me that believes the TVA come out of this story as the good guys, and I don't think anybody should think that. There's no way people that can control time like that to fit their agenda can be considered good, because pretty much the way they make it sound is that there's this alternate timeline nexus effect that will destroy all of time as you know it. But I think in reality, it would just create a multiverse, which I think a lot of people believe. It would just create a multiverse that doesn't really suit the needs of the said timekeepers that we keep hearing about. They want to stick to the sacred timeline because that obviously that's something that they want. So Lady Loki ends up abducting C-20. And so while she's doing that, she steals the TVA gear that they brought into that timeline. She steals the time portal devices. Now, here's a few things here. They have the reset bomb, essentially, in that they can reset an entire timeline just like that. And they have a time portal device. So she's stealing both pieces of equipment during this time. Now, we move on over to the TVA location with Loki, and we finally see Loki, and he's getting quizzed by Miss Minutes about the TVA. He's doing well in this, but of course, Miss Minutes isn't thinking that he's taking it seriously. Miss Minutes is really interesting to me because Miss Minutes seems more than she lets on. And so I have a small theory. I'm not like 100% sold on this, but I almost wonder if it's actually Kang the Conqueror that's Miss Minutes in some facet, maybe an illusion or some, I don't really know, but there's something more than meets the eye with Miss Minutes. And that type of AI technology we haven't seen since Jarvis, of course, with Tony Stark. And to me, this Miss Minutes can go around as a hologram and then shoot itself back into a computer. I think Loki knows that there's something up there. But we move on, of course, the variant of Loki's that Loki is shown. It's kind of cool. When they are going through it, the TVA is showing them basically the variants that they found of Loki. They go through a Frost Loki, which is clearly one that in another alternate world is, from Jotunheim and stays in Jotunheim. Then you have the Satyr Loki, the Norse Loki, the Minotaur Loki, the Tour de France Loki, which made me laugh, So there's there's a few Easter eggs there. And then after that, Loki and Mobius kind of walk around and discuss their thoughts, and Mobius is a good dude. You can tell he's different from the TVA, and many times in this episode you'll notice he still has compassion, he still cares. And the TVA agents are almost like robots. They don't have a soul, they don't care. And you can see that, well, where they're like, well, they'll die anyway or whatever, it doesn't matter, they're gonna die because and it's like Mobius cares. And then of course Loki, when later on in the episode, when Lady Loki does that enchantment and then switches the bodies and the body drops to the floor, he asks the question, is that person dead? Like, and so he's starting to care. So there's a little bit more humility with Loki's character, which is really interesting because it's really important to remember that this is not the Loki that had that redemption arc that ended up with the finale with Thanos killing him. This is a different Loki. This is the one that was evil and had not taken that step yet. So he's kind of becoming what we saw in the MCU movies in a different way throughout this story. It's very different because he's already seen finality. He's already seen his death. So this Loki, in a sense, might actually be better than the Loki that we last saw that died in Infinity War. But moving on, of course, you have Loki, walking around, of course, with Mobius. But I love that he's consistently, mentioning this being propaganda. Propaganda is never good. So clearly you can tell you're getting in Loki's head, and you can tell he is not okay with what's going on. He's very on the fence about what's going on, and he's, raising questions. What you notice is that Mobius doesn't question this. This is his life, and he doesn't question why he's so different. And so when Loki starts talking to him, you can tell maybe he's getting to him a little bit and saying, mate, you're not like everybody here. You're different. Then we see Ravonna, who is the person, basically the judge that, stood trial against Loki early on in, episode 1 when he came to the TVA. And Ravonna is basically saying, she doesn't trust Loki at all. She doesn't want Mobius to, get backstabbed and all that. But at the same time, he kind of explains, I also do things that are different. I don't go by the book, and neither does Loki. And she realizes that, and, they kind of have, a thing there. Now, my theory, before we get more into this, is that I think Ravonna and Mobius are going to help Loki and Lady Loki overthrow the TVA, and I don't think that their intention is to overthrow the TVA with reckless abandon and kill people and rule the world type deal. What I feel is that Lady Loki's actually good, Loki's actually good or becoming good, and they realize that the TVA almost needs to be the best word I would probably say is to regulate the TVA, because this whole, hidden agenda is not working out. And so you can tell when Mobius is asking, certain questions to Ravonna about the timekeepers, she doesn't even seem like she's seen the timekeepers. It's like at one point or another, you're sitting there and you're like, are the timekeepers even real? They're probably real, but if they're not, I won't be surprised. So we move on. And then, Loki, he's going to go to the library here, tries to find all sorts of files on the timekeepers. Basically the librarian says, nope, those are classified. You can only check out, these, and the files, of course, are his and on the variant, which ends up being Lady Loki. He goes through and finds a very interesting thing here. It's the end of Asgard. It is the document of Ragnarok, which was a level 7 apocalypse. And the thing I found really interesting in this, of course, is because of the familiarity he has, of course, to Asgard. The fact that he hasn't seen Ragnarok. He didn't fight in Ragnarok yet. So this is him learning about the events of Ragnarok and how it's supposed to go down. This is just Norse mythology for you. So this is actually like real mythology. I know real mythology sounds funny, but it is. Ragnarok is always supposed to be the end and all of that. New beginnings, things along that nature. And so while they show that scene and you're thinking, okay, he's depressed and all of that, you kind of realize that he looks at this scene in this scene, he looks for the deeper meaning here, and he finds that this is an apocalypse, and that he also finds, he makes a connection that Lady Loki has only been attacking in places where they have an apocalypse, because if you do something before an apocalypse, it doesn't matter. You can't change time. You can do whatever you want, and then obviously whatever's going to happen in the apocalypse is going to happen. You can't change, a natural disaster or anything like that. That's, a level 10 or what have you. So he ends up pitching this in a funny way by ruining Mobius's salad, in the cafeteria. And very much enjoyed that scene. Once again, you kind of see, the connection of having the Rick and Morty writer in this thing. You can definitely see more humor and what have you. But they make that connection. And so the connection leads Mobius initially to question him, but then he goes to Ravonna and he goes to get this approved. So they actually bring Loki on the mission. They go to Pompeii, and Loki kind of basically doesn't care, because to prove his point, they're going to where the volcano, of course, that erupted in Pompeii, that covered the whole area in ash. That is where they go. And so right before the volcano erupts, Loki starts saying, you're gonna die, it doesn't matter, we are from the future, yada yada. And so I do like that they added that. It's funny, I like those historical things and making fun of DB Cooper and things along that nature that they've already done in 2 episodes. But that is definitely an interesting scene, and it goes to show you again, nothing is going to happen, because he could say whatever he wanted, but at the end of the day, no one was going to survive that volcano with the volcanic ash. But of course, you move on and you get, this really nice quote here from Loki after the fact when talking to Mobius. He says, "No one bad is ever truly bad, and no one good is ever truly good." To me, I looked at this as multiple foreshadowing. I looked at this as a foreshadowing of a Loki who's already turned good, and maybe hasn't really fully made his intentions known, just kind of hinted at them, and Lady Loki, who isn't going to look like a good character in this episode at all. But I think at the end of the day, her intentions are good, just like I think Loki's intentions will eventually be good. So that's how I interpreted that. Again, could absolutely be wrong. Lady Loki could end up being a real enemy and a pain, but I do think that she's going to end up being good, and I think the TVA all along were bad. I don't think it's hard to see that. Things just aren't normal. So then you have, Loki and the TVA. They go to Rock's cart, which of course is another thing is happening here. It's another, big time apocalypse, event. And so they go, and there's nobody. Of course, everybody is just hauled up in the back of Rock's cart. But then, as you see, there's some random shopper, somebody that has been enchanted by Lady Loki, no doubt, comes over and ends up enchanting the guard, the TVA guard that was with Loki. And then, of course, we get a little bit of a standoff here. They get into a little bit of a fight. During this, Mobius is with his other team, and he's trying to make sure that everybody is staying calm. Again, it kind of goes to what I've been saying. The TVA don't really care, because they're just like, well, they're going to die anyway, so they don't really care. Then we move back over to Loki and Lady Loki having that kind of one-on-one standoff. Lady Loki is beating the crap out of Loki, and then all of a sudden we get the actual point to all of this. And before that, really, they find C20, the agent that was abducted at the beginning of the episode, and she just keeps saying it's real, that, it's real. And she doesn't really specify what's real, but she does explain that, she's given away the Timekeeper's location to Lady Loki. But then right as that happens, we do get the huge, massive plot twist that I honestly saw coming, but didn't see coming. And that is the time bomb that bombs all the timelines that Lady Loki wanted to bomb. So as Lady Loki was going through these apocalyptic events, she was collecting whatever was left behind, because she was basically baiting the TVA to come in and try and find her, because they can have, that variant locator. And she was taking them down and taking their tech. And what she was able to do is use Rock's cart as a way to basically set up all of the time bombs in one location, use the time portals because she collected all the time portals, and drop them in all different timelines using them as bombs. As you know from what I just said earlier, is that it resets that said timeline. So we look through, and I got the list here thanks to Emergency Awesome, who actually had the entire list. So you definitely have to check out his channel. He is amazing. But here are the timelines in which were bombed, or rather, you know, the areas. So you have Vietnam 1522, you have Portugal 1492, you have Vormir 2301, Thornton, USA 1551, Cookville 1999, Asgard 2004. That's actually before the events of Thor, the first Thor movie. Then you have Rome 1390, Sakar 1984. As you know, that's where, you know, the Hulk planet was, the garbage planet. Borochoro, Colombia 1808, Carfu, Finland 1708, Ego the Living Planet 1382, Titan, of course, the planet of Thanos, 1982, New York City, 1947, Tokyo, Japan, 1984, Hala, 51, Kingsport, 1999, Xandar, 1001, Beijing, 2005, and Madrid, 1903. And this is all really interesting because we get to see that time. We've seen it so many times, that time branch, and how it can't branch off the timeline, because if it goes past that red line, then we're going to have a multiversal event, rather a Nexus event, a multiversal war is how they put it. And that's ultimately what it looks like. It's what it leads us off. It's a cliffhanger ending, and what a massive episode. This is the best episode I've seen. Like I said, this is phenomenal. This episode already set this series ahead as the best series we've seen on Disney Plus, regardless if it's The Mandalorian, The Falcon Winter Soldier, or WandaVision, and I absolutely loved all three of them. But the fact of the matter is this was a MCU changing, massive, big time episode that is leading into the events of Spider-Man No Way Home. And then you look at the Multiverse of Madness and even Quantumania, Ant-Man 3, of course, with Kang the Conqueror, who I do think will make an appearance in this series. We will see. But Lady Loki opens up the portal and she's out. However, she leaves it open just long enough for Loki to stare at it, have an opportunity to join her in that portal, and basically he sees Mobius and the crew running after him, trying to stop him. He has a little bit of an indecision and dives into the portal and goes with Lady Loki. Now, the interesting thing is Lady Loki said this isn't about you. I don't know what that means, but I do think that she is good or has good intentions anyway. So the time bomb, amazing, but on top of that scene, the thing that's really impressive is that you have to keep in mind, you see Ravonna, you see all of the agents, they are going into those portals, they are weaponing up, and they are going into all the portals to fix them. Here's the problem with that, and this is why they showed it at the end. What if she wasn't trying to bomb all the portals for the actual reason of bombing all the portals? What if she wasn't trying to create a multiverse? What if she was simply trying to gain all of their attention, create a distraction, and attack the TVA when no one else is there? Because there's a good chance that's part of their plan. I don't know the full plan, but it's definitely something worth mentioning. But that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already seen this episode and you watched this, I thank you for watching this. I appreciate your support, but you should have watched the episode. It is a phenomenal one. I can't wait till next Wednesday, and that's all I can say. So can't wait for the next episode. I will be doing another video, of course. If you guys want more videos of this type of thing, let me know. Maybe I'll do isolated theory videos. We will see. But that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, you guys take care. Be sure to subscribe, click the like, and drop a comment if this added any value to your day. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys soon.